Hi, welcome to howtod&d. My name is Fred Wheeler and today I have a guest, John Shackle.
Hi!
And we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, player tactics or tips. And this particular topic is taking a backup weapon.
Yes.
Okay, how often have players not taken backup weapons? Things can happen to your backup, your original weapon that you have. If you only have one melee weapon or one ranged weapon, it can really cause some problems, particularly as there are monsters that can wind up destroying your weapons, or you can lose them, or they can be stolen. All sorts of things can happen, right? So if you are a specialist in a melee weapon that's close quarter, make sure you have at least 2 melee weapons.
Yep.
And if you are a specialist in ranged weapons, make sure you have at least 2 ranged weapons, long range weapons, not like throwing axes or things like that. Those
And
are
also, if you're ranged, have a melee weapon. If you're melee, always have a ranged weapon. You'd be guaranteed there'll be times where you would literally need to have something.
Yeah, it is really common for you to become completely redundant if you don't have a weapon that can deal with long range, and suddenly you're in a long range battle.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, I can do 100 points of damage to something on the ground. Oh look, there's a flying dragon. Oh, I can't do anything.
Yeah, that can be really annoying.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to say too that there are, as I said, there are monsters that will destroy your weapons. So something like oozes, renowned for pretty much eating away at your weapon and making them less effective.
Shields.
And shields. And armor. They can mess that up really, really badly. The rust monster is...
Good old classic Rusty.
Yeah, Mr. Rust Monster will rust your weapon. Every time you whack it, it's probably going to cause more damage to it. Nowadays, rust monsters don't really do very much to magical weapons, though.
No, but as I said, think of magical weapons as a anti-rust solution.
That's you're applying your anti-rust solution.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you're fighting something like a gelatinous cube, I mean, how many times when you fight a gelatinous cube, by the time you've finished fighting that gelatinous cube, it's just pin-pricked. It's got weapons attached to it all over the place by the time it finally dies.
Oh yeah, and you've got to feel sorry for monks.
Yeah, you can't go punching that thing because you're like stuck to it. So yeah, pin-cushioned and gelatinous cube might eventually kill it, but it's going to have a whole lot of your weapons bristling off it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else you want to add in terms of backup weapons?
I would go into spells actually, because especially for spellcasters, you want to have long-range spells, but you'd also want to have short-range spells as well, because there's always going to be a time where you might get surprised, or the enemy comes up to a wizard, and if a wizard doesn't have any melee touch spells, they're in a pickle, pretty much.
Yep. The other thing too is, if you're picking a weapon, make sure when you're picking your melee weapons that you select something that does a different type of damage.
Yeah.
And not just all slashing or all bludgeoning. Try to pick something that's actually going to do a different type of damage. And the reasoning behind that is there's going to be a situation where you have to cut through. You really want to have a slashing weapon of some kind. You're going to have to cut through a rope. If you don't have a dagger, you're going to have to use your axe or your sword, or you're having to cut through chains, or you're trying to cut your way through a door.
Yep.
That can happen if you've got a wooden door. The other problem is that some monsters have resistance to particular types of damage.
Yeah.
And as a general rule, a lot of those are also resistant to non-magical weapons, but there are just a sprinkling that are just resistant to a particular type of a damage type.
Yeah. Or even better, some of them could be vulnerable to certain damage types, and you might want a weapon make the combat go a lot more quicker.
Yeah. There aren't a lot of monsters with vulnerabilities nowadays, but there are a few that do have them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So try and pick them up. And there was one other thing you wanted to mention about ranged weapons.
Oh yes. If you're going to have ranged weapons, dear God, make sure you have plenty of ammo. The worst thing you will have is if you run out of ammo in a big long fight, you pretty much are going to be sitting there going, yeah, okay, what am I going to do now?
Yeah. I don't really count ammo as a dungeon master, but there are plenty of dungeon masters who will insist you count your ammo and keep track of it, and if you run out, you're kind of stuck. So try not to run out. Anything else to add?
No, I think that should be it, pretty much.
Okay. Well, if you found this video helpful or informative, please share, like and subscribe. Look, you know the deal. I've said it more than a few times. If you have any questions about backup weapons, put them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer those questions. And till next time, John.
Keep rolling those 20s.
Alright, I'll see you later.